Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you guys are having an excellent day, wonderful week. Welcome to Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk Gundam, Gunpla, and gaming. I am Steven, aka Midnight Hatter, your host. Joining me, as always, the Blue Gamer, Gundam Explainer, Adam Blue. And tonight we have a very special guest with us, well overdue, honestly, because you know him as the Gelgoog guy over on Instagram. Recently, off the back of the second place victory in the ODO 1 to 144th UC category. Gelgoog guy, how are you, my friend?
My wife calls me a goog poster because I won that with a Zaku and not a Gelgoog.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Well,
she told me to just to say that, get it out of the way.
I was gonna say, for a guy whose Instagram bio says like, "Hey, I like building Gelgoogs," I was like, "There's a surprising lack of Gelgoogs here," and it was pretty serendipitous to have you on today because let me go ahead and share this with you guys. This meme came across my Twitter feed just yesterday. It was an interview with Yoshiyuki Tomino when they were asking him like, "Why do you give Gundam stuff such goofy names?" And he was like, "Honestly, it's I just was trying to see what they would get away with." And so I gave the enemy mobile suits weird names like Gelgoog.
Oh yeah.
It's funny being the enemy mobile suit, and I just realized, but almost backwards, it's Google.
Oh good
Almost.
God. Don't ruin
Mm.
that for me, please. I work with
The
Google way too much, man. I gotta
Yeah,
throw all of them away now.
the first rule of Xeon is don't be evil, right? That's
Oh God.
That's good.
Stardust was an
Oh,
inside job. Oh, oh wait, kind of was.
a little bit. But yeah, no, thank you for joining us again. Like this was kind of overdue. I'm slowly working my way through all of the local crowd. I was unfortunate not to get to meet you in person at ODO a couple weekends back. But congratulations. Let me
Yeah.
personally congratulate you now that I've got you. Uh, yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got into Gundam, how you got into Gunpla, what your journey into the hobby has been like. Because we've heard some fascinating stories from my parents owned a VHS shop in Kansas to oh I only started building during the pandemic and now I'm
Yeah.
better than like people who have decades of experience.
Let's see. Let's start at the beginning. 4 score and 7 Gelgoogs ago.
Oh,
Um, no, I actually got interested in Gundam as a wee lad growing up watching Toonami, like most of us
nice.
did in our generation.
Yes.
So
Another
we've
one.
got so we've got Gundam Wing was the core basis, and then when they introduced the OG Gundam onto Toonami, I was like, wow, this is terrible. It's from like the 70s, and wait, doesn't
Mm.
Amuro guy sound like Katra? Because it was the same voice actor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to get over. And then eventually we got Adult Swim, where we were gifted this wonderful series, Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory, which is the best Gundam ever.
I was gonna
Um,
say I had a sneaking suspicion that that was your favorite. I wasn't, wasn't sure, but
yeah, I mean, I've noticed there's a lot of Shimagara How love in your Discord, so I feel like right at home.
we do what
Um,
we can. We like our evil Xeon mommies.
yes,
Yeah, oh,
yes,
yeah.
Mommy Shima all the way. Um, But, my dad, he was, he wasn't a military modeler, he was a car modeler. So,
Oh, cool.
we he was, really big into, stock cars and things like that. Naturally, as a, child with undiagnosed ADHD, I broke all of them. And, inevitably, he just bought me my, first kit. It was like I think it was like a USS Arizona battleship kit that was, like, everywhere back in those days. And I kinda just got interested in, building models, and then inevitably, I was also into Legos at the time too, so it's like fiddling and building stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't really build my first Gunpla kit until 2018, 2019, and
Oh,
that
that's
the
cool.
Gelgoog Marine that I built that's on my Instagram, like the first custom Gunpla kit, that was actually my first Gunpla kit.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I saved him from the Gunpla prison at a hobby store where I left him 5 years later, and shockingly enough, a month later, that store closed.
Oh,
And
Wow.
wow.
well, yeah, like some tax issue, and the dude had literally had to pack up everything, just put it in a storage unit, and everything that was like left in the cases, anything that was like he couldn't take with him, he just threw into a dumpster out back.
Wow.
So we
What a
got a phone
shame.
call. It gets better. It gets better. We profited from this because we got a phone call from the guy who was next door, who we were tight with. He's like, "Yeah, man, this dude just emptied out this whole hobby store, threw it all into this massive dumpster out back, and like me and a couple dudes I barely know in this gunpla group in Columbus are like going through this dumpster in the middle of November at like
Heck
1 o'clock
yeah.
in the morning." So
Dumpster diving. That's hilarious. When was this? You said around 2018, 2019?
it was like 2019 when I built the Gelgoog, and it was 2024. No, it was late
Oh,
2023, early 2024. Is around the time this guy's shop had closed.
and that
Um, yeah,
it
but
reminds me when I was, back in the day at GameStop, you would do the dumpster diving at GameStop because they
Yeah.
would throw away, like, video game posters or some of the stuff in the store, so but, the thing about that is how dangerous, like, there's, like, you shouldn't really do that. You never know if you're gonna run into glass, a needle, or whatever, but
I
it's
don't know,
that's a cool story.
considering what's going on in the world, dumpster diving for hobby supplies might not be out of the realm of possibility for
It might be economical.
so
but, it's interesting because it's
yeah.
like, you hear the stories about, like, people who work at Panera or Starbucks or whatever, and they'll, like, soak the stuff in coffee grounds so that when they throw it out, like, people can't get the food out, and it's like, I'm surprised that they didn't do that with the video games or, like, hobby supplies. It's like,
Oh, well, like the dude, he threw out like all these testers paints and stuff like that, and he actually threw away like all the airbrush tester kits that he was having for his airbrush classes, like HO scale
yeah.
trains. Like it was the sack of Rome. Um, each of us left with like ginormous, just piles of stuff. And that's kind of how I wormed my way in initially to the local IPMS group, is because they were all like, you know, twice my age, and they're all still using testers, and they're all complaining that they couldn't get all the testers. I was like,
You're like
"Hi,
it's
I build Gunpla. Do you like me?" Um,
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because you are, I think, what the third card carrying IPMS member that we've had on the show. Tell me about your experience coming into IPMS as a Gunpla enthusiast. I mean, obviously you got your start building, the USS Arizona, so like you had some street cred before you came in and said like, look at my giant robots. Um, but what was your experience like?
oh God, I suddenly hear "Fortunate Son" playing in the back of my mind. Um, it's actually hasn't been the greatest, because I'm sure I'm not the only person out there who's watched this, or who's had interactions with the IPMS, where it's like you are coming into a very tight knit, very closed group, very um, not necessarily technologically backwards, but like technologically closed off group, where these guys are used to doing things their own specific way for X number of years. Um, and you're bringing in something that's completely different and completely foreign to them. And they kind of look at you like, oh, yeah, you just build the tiny robots. Yeah. I kid
Where's
you
the
not.
glue?
I know, right? And it's been really difficult for me to kind of break into the local scene and kind of tell them, is like, hey, we're not a threat. We're not like weird weebs that are gonna like cough on you and tell you about our waifu pillow. A lot of the things that we are doing with Gunpla, especially custom Gunpla, is it's coming from you guys. Like we are your next generation. We're what's going to keep your hobby alive and your organization going.
Mhm.
And when I finished my Zaku, I actually took it to the local meetup, and this was like about a month before Odo, and I hadn't even decided I was going to go to Odo. And I put it on the table for like the monthly meetup, and they did an open judging. Every single one of them walked right past that Zaku, didn't even look at it once, and voted for a T-34 that had a bunch of silvering decals and mold lines. And I was
Mm.
just like,
Mm.
wow. Um, so I mean, that's when I put up a flag. I hope a friend saw it, and that's when I got the call from Nick down in RVA that hey man, why don't you come on down? And I'm still rolling with some great guys, the Gunpla Goonies dudes, and they were all gonna meet up there anyway. They're like, come on down, dude,
Yeah.
just come on down. Like the ribs are amazing. It doesn't even matter about the Gunpla, just come on down here for the
Yeah.
food. And I told the wife, I was like, screw it, why not?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made the trip, and honestly, I would say that it paid dividends. And like on that note, let me let's show off. So obviously, we showed this off, during the stream a couple weeks ago with Nick, where we walked through all of the winners from ODO. Your Zaku stood out, because the F2 is by far my favorite Zaku variant, but secondly, I mean, there's just so much about this piece that, first of all, it's not like overly weathered, which for me, I don't know about you guys, but like I'm not a huge like oh, it's got to be rusted and like
Right.
chip marks everywhere. Like I don't like a ton of weathering. Um,
I think the joke we make is how long are they really in service to get weathered? You know?
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Like I mean, it takes one beam rifle shot from Amuro, and then
yeah.
yeah, it's you're not holding out. But then yeah, let me if we go into the wrong
While you're doing
slide
that,
there.
um, I like this type of build because I'm really into the high-end action figures, and it
Mm,
looks like when you would be buying the high-end action figure because it's
the real
like
type markings.
real type markings, it's canon, there's just enough color, difference going on, yeah, it's really good, really good.
And it's still posable. Like, you were able to pose it in different ways. Like it's not a lot of people when they paint their kits, it's like, okay, now this is just a static piece. It's no longer it no longer retains the
Functionality that
yeah,
it
the
does
function.
articulate, yeah.
But I
Well,
think the question on everyone's mind here, and so I have a work in progress shot and then one of your finished shots here. I'm gonna ask it, where do you get off painting a polycap, not only painting it in general, but also the ostentatious color of red, drawing the attention of everyone to a function part and not like a piece of armor.
so funny tidbit about that is that that's actually not the polycap.
Yeah, okay, so that's like that joint that kind of like sits in
Yeah,
the
it's
polycap joint.
it's the cover that goes right on top of the polycap. Um,
Oh, okay.
so that's what makes the F2 probably one of the best Zaku kits in the entire HD line is that they're like, okay, so we're putting in all this extra flexibility. We're going away from this. Here's the straight nub where you just put the shoulder over and then hate your
Yeah.
life because you can't move your arms forward or backwards. And what they did is they made this nice little piece that goes right on top of that. So it's a really great way to add detail to a kit in
Yeah.
a very subtle way.
Yeah, subtle,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I was gonna say it's very realistic because if you look at like the internal workings of a lot of like engines and motors and things like that, you'll see like that pop of like an orange
Yeah.
metallic piece, like a frame joint or something like that. But yeah, I think what Jobby calls that the butterfly joint in the
Oh,
uh
yeah, butterfly
oh,
joint.
it was a pain in the ass to do, 100%. Like, there's nothing to grab on in that thing. It's like I had to use blue tack tape and a toothpick to just, like, on there, and I'm s airbrushing it. I was like, "Please, God, don't fly off. Please, God, don't fly off. Please, God, don't fly off." I was like, "Yeah."
Well, fantastic work. I think that is one of the like I said to Nick, it's one of the most ballsy things I've ever seen because that particular joint, even if it's not directly the polycap, even if it's just like a cap that goes over it,
Mhm.
just the fact that there's a ball joint that goes in there, and then that joint is going to see a lot of action. So um that is a
It
prime candidate for chipping.
that's also acrylic too. Like, the whole kit's 100% acrylic.
Oh, nice. What brand acrylics do you go with?
I'm sure I'm gonna get crucified for this, but Vallejo Mecca.
Hey, brother, you are in good company because I hand paint with Vallejo model colors. So
Yes.
we are good. We no,
So
honestly. So yeah,
yeah.
tell me about that. How did you land on Vallejo as your paint of choice?
Well, I started where most model miniature guys start out at doing like wargaming. I played 15 millimeter Flames of War, so I can tell you every different shade variation of a German tank or a Soviet one, like in
Oh,
the
that's
back of my
cool.
hand. I used to paint like the intricate little, and these are 15 millimeter figures, so they're like about that big. And I'm doing like the complicated camouflage patterns of the individual troopers, and little dots and whatnot.
Wow.
And
Man,
you can't really pull that off by using Tamiya, so you have to use acrylic. And
yeah,
if you're just starting out, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You need to be able to correct them. And I was really happy when Vallejo came out with a specific line that was designed for Gunpla, because the
Yeah.
chemical consistency is not very forgiving with the model airline. So they're like, we have science this so you can move your toys and they will not break.
Mhm.
And I've done straight paint jobs with like no top coat or nothing like that over top of it, and it holds up really well. And I've also done like Mr. Hobby gloss coat over top of it to give it like that extra little like harder shell. So they work in tandem together.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you did mention that you've played with some those like hobby acrylics, things like I mean honestly I've had my fair share of working with the old apple barrel from Walmart. Tell me about like when it comes to finding that right consistency. I mean, you like you said you're mixing your thinner and mecha color yourself for airbrushing.
hmm So how I even got to the Zaku is I started out where most people do, is by going on YouTube, looking around and seeing, okay, here's the guides, here's what's going on, and I stumbled across a guy named EA Gunpla. And if you
Yep.
look at his back to basics Zaku, it looks very similar to this one because that's what I kind of based it off of. Because I mean, we all, when you work in marketing for as long as we all have, it's like, all right, so I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to search how to do something. And every one of the search results is 10 versions of how do I do this thing? But here's this long, complicated story of my life and my dog. And I'm just like, dear God, please. I just want to know how to paint the
Well,
kit.
and not to
Please.
mention at the bottom of it, it's an ad, and, like,
Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like, Ray Studio, fantastic stuff, but, like, it is annoying when it's, like, every
Oh,
single Ray Studio tutorial is an ad for a Ray Studio product.
every single time I see one of his ads, it gets stuck in my head, and I'm like, "Damn you for your educational and helpful content that will stay rent free in my head." And it works. I mean, like you go
It's
on the YouTube, yeah,
yeah, I mean, if I had to choose between, like, straight up ads and, like, edutainment or
yeah.
Yeah.
edutizing, I
Edutainment.
do prefer edutizing, but
I wonder, like the composer for Star Children is just like he woke up one day in Japan and he saw his Spotify on fire with like it's just printing money. It's like, where the hell is this coming from? This song hasn't been out for like 20 years. And then all the comments are like,
Hmm? Mm.
dude. I hope he got a cut. I really do.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, going back to it, remember like in 1980, it was the Gundams. Well, in part, the Gundam soundtrack that brought Gundam back, as it was, people like
Yeah.
the soundtrack sold out, which was crazy. And the poor composer sitting there like, I only made these tracks 30 seconds long. You want me to make them like, like stretch them out
God.
to 3 minutes just because I don't know, anime fans are crazy?
Yeah, and then Stardust came out where it was essentially like Top Gun, and everyone was like, "Ooh, what is?" Yeah, no, it's like, "Oh yeah, this is like really catchy," and then we get exposed to Zeta, and you're not really sure how to deal with it. But then you get that one with the I think the Japanese Congo drums are like doom 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 doom,
Oh,
and you're like,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that's my entrance music now.
yeah, I think that's, like, the American intro music. I think it's the
Yeah,
AU theme.
yeah,
Hmm.
because they couldn't get the copyright for the other songs.
Right,
Yeah, the
for,
pop.
Tokyo
Yeah.
Koite.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which, of course,
Well,
you could say that off the top of your head, Steven.
I have to search it on Instagram so often because, like, I use that song
Oh,
for
yeah, there you
everything.
go.
Yeah, I just save every time I hear a reel with somebody's music on it that it sounds exactly what I want. I just save the reel so I don't have to go digging. Um, and I'm also gonna figure out how to upload my own music because that what was it that military drum kind of deal that was in OHMS team when Norris Packard's on top of the building, that is
Yeah.
actually not on Instagram at all. So I want that,
Oh.
and I think I'm gonna make that happen.
Ironically, the second you upload it, it's, like, gonna pull it down for copyright.
That's
Yeah.
fine, man. I'll just keep using burner accounts. Like I
There
can
you
play this game all
go.
day, Daddy Zuck. You got nothing on me.
So, on the subject of 0083, let's take a look into your backlog here. So this is the Gelgoog in question, the first one you customized and the first one you built, correct?
Yeah, yes,
This Gelgoog Marine?
That is Bubbles. Yes,
Bubbles.
I named him for a very specific reason.
Are you
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
share that with us?
Yeah, why not?
Or is it a trade secret?
Uh, I spent about 4 months on Bubbles here, and right when I was putting him back together, I had this little jar of liquid dish soap that had some water in it to kind of, in the event I needed to clean something or
Oh, of
loosen up a
course.
joint. And his freaking foot is so big, I tipped the damn thing over onto the rest of the kit. And this is like right after I had top coated it, and I was really excited about it. I was like shit, 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 and I literally dropped so many f bombs. It was unreal. And I'm trying to clean it off, and then I pull out my airbrush, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like it starts like blowing bubbles everywhere. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Like his name originally was Angry Goog because the Marines look so angry, but now his name is just Bubbles.
Nah, I like that. That's good. The story, there's excuse me, there's a lot to it. And
Yeah.
Steven, we talked about that before, where there's more to a kit than the kit, even if you don't realize it. Whoa,
Yeah,
that rhymed.
yeah. Monetize it.
Yeah.
There you go.
We can put Star Children in front of it too.
Even better. But speaking of EA Gunpla, like one of the tutorials I love from EA Gunpla is customizing an action base, and that's something that
Mhm.
you did here with this Xeon like plate base here.
Yeah.
What so first of all, what is the platform that it's sitting on top of there?
I'm slowly remembering the entire process of doing that because I thought to myself in my ADHD insanity, I'd be able to do this in 3 days. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Um, it started out originally as me trying to cut like a piece of plot plate and just, I'm gonna make a simple base. I'm gonna put it on top of the action base. Um, and then as I was assembling one of the Bandai action bases to do it, I got this whatchamacallit, this plastic tube. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna fill this with, hot glue and sturdy it up. And this is the part where I forget that hot glue is hot and it will melt plastic, and then I burn my hands. Um,
Oh, wow.
so then I switched over to this, and that's a brass rod on top of it. And I started seeing a lot of the IPMS guys use, trophy bases or just generic stuff you get from like Joann's or wherever.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
Like a wood
yeah,
base or something?
yeah. And
Yeah.
then I put the plot plate on top of that, and that's actually my first attempt of trying to custom scribe. Um,
It looks
the
great.
reason it has the giant Xeon thing on it is because I screwed up the decaling underneath of it in the very last top coating, and I panicked. I was like, "All right, I can just cover over that."
Just yeah. See, and thank you for sharing that because part of what we do on this show is like hopefully inspiring and empowering people to get outside their comfort zone. And so, I mean, scribing on a base is obviously a little easier, and you're not going to like ruin a $20-$30 kit that you want to pour your heart into. So like if you're going to practice scribing, you might as well practice scribing on a scrap piece of plot plate. And then
Yep.
additionally, the fact that you were able to mask a mistake, there's no such thing as mistakes in this hobby, right? It's like
Yeah.
you have no choice
But
but to just move forward
yeah.
and do something with it. So it's like, and from here, I couldn't have told like,
Yeah. Yeah, let me add real quick. I love that. I love hearing stories of the mess ups because we've all had them. And then you see the final and it's like you wouldn't have known. So that adds even more to it.
exactly.
Um, and it's funny because it goes back to the Ray Studios ads. The real ads would be them doing something and messing it up and then like repairing it. And then like that's how you would really do it.
Yeah,
So I had an idea once of because we all know how EA's videos are, really. It's him putting it together, and it's nice and happy, and it's got that cool music on top of
yeah,
it.
it's pretty jazzy.
I wanted to make a parody video, to not like riff on the guy or stuff like that, but this is my tribute to you because this like really inspired me to actually do something positive with this hobby. It's me trying to do the same thing with Izaku, but messing up, and then it like slowly devolves over time until like the room is on fire, and then it just cuts to that television like rainbow screen, and it's like we'll be back after these messages, and
Yeah.
Ba, 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 ba.
I love
exactly,
Yeah, it's like got the whole the Homer Simpson vibe where it's like, oh, that
yeah.
looks great. Why doesn't mine look like that?
The grill, what the hell's the grill? Ah! That's actually why I bought so many Gelgoog Marines initially because I knew I was gonna mess up. And the new type store actually trolled me by doing a President's sale in 2023 and tagging me in it and like, hey man, I got $13 Gelgoog Marines. You want to buy some? Cool. Here's five. Yeah.
That's an Instagram reel that I've been dying to make. Is
Hmm.
have you ever seen that movie Game Night with uh what's his name, Jason Bateman?
Heard of
Uh,
it.
there's a scene where the neighbor comes out and they don't like to have the neighbor over for game night, and he's like, "Oh, I see you've got 3 bags of Tostitos scoops." And they're like, yeah, they had a special, 3 for 1. He goes, 3 for 1? How can that be profitable for Frito-Lay? And so I just I wanna get a video of me coming home from Hobbytown with, like, 11 Gunpla kits and saying, like, "Yeah, there was a sale on these, 3 for 1." How
Yeah,
can
I
that be
I did that
profitable
at
for
the
Bandai Namco?
new type store. I bought 4 GMs. I had a total of 5. And it's like, yeah, they were like maybe $13, but it's like then the thought of, well, these are old. This really
Mhm.
needed an update, you know. But that kind of makes it more fun to do a full complete sort of like how you do yours, where it's kind of like straight but precise, pristine.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about that because, like, the F2, like you mentioned, that is a kit that holds up phenomenally well. I think it's what, from, like, 2010?
Yeah.
But it's still one of the best high grades available. The
I think.
Gelgoog,
Yeah.
and then the Gelgoog Marine, even by extension, not so much, right?
So as it stands right now, I think the only Gelgoog kits I don't have are the two that came out for Unicorn. It's like the Gelgoog from Unicorn and the Gelgoog Regelgoo. But of all the
Yeah.
rest of my own, and I've worked with every single one of them. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the worst one of the entire line is the Shimagara How Custom. Like
mm,
that thing is straight up dog shit. Um,
oh,
On that
um,
note,
we're getting to that. The reason I hate that kit is because when you look at how the kits were initially, this is like the kit from 1999, and and that it's not accurate in any way, shape, or form, because I had figured out rather recently that the Gelgoog Jaeger is more accurate to the actual Gelgoog Marine than the Gelgoog Marine is to itself. Like it doesn't have that ball joint. Like it literally is a physical like ball joint on the elbow, and
mm,
it has that old style. The Marine has this old style way of like holding things up, and the only thing that prevents the arm from snapping down is like this little peg that just like will snap. So as soon as I opened up the Shima kit and I put it together, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put together Dami Mommy's kit. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna watch Stardust. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Put it together. I put the MRB giant beam rifle in its hand, and all of a sudden, droop, and I'm
yep.
like,
mm,
shit. And it wasn't even like a slow droop. It was literally just whoop, and you could hear it like clink on the table. It's like, this sucks.
uh,
It's terminal velocity before it.
Yeah. So this Gelgoog Jaeger that I have back here, he is actually the donor for that Shima kit that you see here being built. And um, there was there's a guy that I know is like a good friend of mine. He's like, yeah, man, the Shima kit sucks. It sucks. And I send him photos of the Jaeger's arm literally holding the beam rifle up, and it's like day 5, it's still going. Day 6, it's still going. I'm literally like trying to get the thing to drop its hand, like drop its arm down. It's perfect, perfect.
Well, that reminds me of, like, the older version of the high grade Goof Custom from 8th MS Team, how it couldn't support the weight of the Gatling shield,
Mhm.
especially if you were to put the sword in the, like, shield. But then now the newer high grade actually has, like, that double hinged shoulder that's supposed to
Mhm.
support it. I mean, to me, that should be just kind of like standard issue across
yeah.
most kits, just because so many kits, especially later into UC, you get the weapons just get bigger and bigger. Like,
What's like you look at the initial line when it came out, and outside of the outside of the 0079 kits, the rest of them haven't gotten revives.
yeah.
Like the all the stuff from Stardust, all the stuff from 0080, it hasn't had a revive. In fact, there's probably a specific machine in Japan that's sole purpose is to just run old Stardust kits, and it's like, we're not really making a bunch of money off of these. Like, just let the Xeon fanboys have them. We don't need to revive these. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, between that and the Char's counterattack kits, which, to their
Oh
credit,
yeah.
to their credit, they do still retain all of like the original plastic, because I know that with the Char's counterattack kits is when they rolled out that kind of metallic-y
Yeah.
gray, which I love that finish. It's very easy to screw it up and make like stress marks in it, but I mean, the fact that they haven't kind of gone back on that and said like, ah, well, let's just run it in another color or something like that. It's kind of cool to me. But yeah, they really did kill the Revive line in Zeta. Like, I think the last one they did was like the Cubile or something like that.
Yeah, and when it came to the Origin kits, like everyone's like really hot and heavy and excited about them. It's like, all right, cool. They did the Action Zaku, and they did the Dom test type. That means we're gonna get a Gelgoog, and that also means we're gonna get a Galbaldi Alpha,
Nope.
and then nothing. Like, ah,
No, and the Origin kits are pretty fantastic. Like, I mean, just the fact that they kind of have an inner frame, that was the closest thing to like a next generation UC kit that we were going to get.
mhm.
Because now it seems like all of the AU suits typically will have like that inner frame, like everything from IBO and Witch from Mercury, they all kind of have that inner frame design. Adam, can you confirm whether or not the G-Quux has like a
Oh, you know what? That's a good. I think it almost is an inner frame itself.
yeah, I
Pretty much.
mean, there's
Yeah,
not a whole lot to it.
yeah. No, that's a good call out. Like the Gundam EX, or even with the Freedom, because of needing to show off the gold inner frame. A lot of it is frame based. So
I feel like every time you say the Gundam, like the Freedom Gundam, I should just hear like an eagle going.
oh, yeah,
Sorry, it's just like stuck in my head every single time I heard that. Strike freedom.
yeah. It's funny because that isn't that like one of the most popular. I guess in China, that's where they have the statue.
Yeah. When is
Yeah,
somebody gonna do a Cobra Kai Gundam that is the Strike Freedom? I'm dying. I'm Dumblaw, if you are listening, please make that happen.
There are crossovers that need to happen. That just
Oh
oh,
yes.
absolutely.
it's pretty crazy.
But
Yeah.
so on that note, so like, obviously you've taken apart this SEMA Gelgoog and done some internal surgery, some laparoscopic surgery, if you
Mhm.
will, to improve some of its internal workings. How easy or difficult do you think it would be to take like something like the Origin Zaku's inner frame, which basically like everything except for the hands, the feet, and the head are you could essentially have by itself. Do you think you could like reskin a Gelgoog using those joints?
Oh, not in the least. I can tell you this without any doubt in my mind because I actually tried doing that.
Oh.
Oh,
And
yeah?
so here's the fun fact about the early HG line is that they're actually smaller. They hadn't figured out what 144 scale actually is. So when you compare a Marine to a Gelgoog A, for example, and we're talking the distance between the two kits coming out, I think it was like 5 or 6 years, is they actually as you got higher in the number for the HG line, they actually got bigger and wider. So you can actually do more inside of those bigger kits. So me and my stupidity, I was thinking of doing exactly what you just said. Then I failed with that, and then I thought, okay, I can just put the Gelgoog egg parts in there, and then I've got all the joints, and it's cool and it's awesome. And then I spent 12 hours trying to make this really awesome, cool Zaku F2 inspired, leg system, where that little T joint that goes like in between the legs to put the action base and to move and get rid of those ball joints. I could do that, and I was successful by getting the attachment. The problem is that getting polycaps with the same level of mobility into the thighs, and
Mm.
that thing's got some dinky thighs, man. It just like
Oh.
it did not go very well.
Oh, man, that does not, inspire a lot of hope for, like you mentioned. Oh, geez, of course, I just break it while I pick it up. So this was one of my first, model kits when I was a wee lad, was the no grade Ultron from Endless Waltz, and I'm like, "Ooh, you know what? Maybe I can try and upgrade the joints in this thing and, bring it up to snuff with these new HGAC kits that are coming out." Um, but evidently, that is probably not on the menu.
So
Well,
you
have you tried?
can, so you can actually.
Uh,
So the interesting thing about the Gundam wing kits, especially those early Endless Waltz ones, is that their sizing was consistent to the new ones that even came out. So like that was something that was baffling to me is because I just built my first wing kit, which was the heavy arms, and I was like, damn, this thing is tiny. Like this is small Gundam,
Yeah.
and I compared it to the HG Leo, and then I got a hold of like one of those old endless waltz kits, and I was comparing. And I was like, no, the size is actually pretty consistent on this. If you have a background or at least a basis of cutting things out, using Tamiya putty to kind of brace things in, you can actually take parts from the HG Leo or the Shenlong or whatever it is, and actually transmit those over into the new kits. Well, the older kits. And
There
what's
you
funny is I
go.
think there's somebody on Instagram who did just that recently. So I was
Yeah,
like, ooh,
recycling Leo parts. I
oh
think
hell
I
yeah,
saw that. Yeah, because Leos are pretty widely available. I'm pretty sure that those are one of those like Hobby Lobby kits you can get for like $9 if you
Oh,
play your cards
well,
right.
oh yeah.
yeah. So, Steven, you sent me that original wing,
I
and I
did,
think
yeah.
we even talked about maybe we need a plan to try to figure this out. Yeah, maybe use some of these suggestions, and because
That
I
would be an
really want to
interesting
do that.
build competition.
Yeah,
Like, who can give their old wing kit the best glow up.
yeah.
So I'm trying to find an endless waltz 1/144 scale serpent, and I'm like, please God, let me find one someplace that isn't like $100. So
Mm.
if I find one, I will definitely jump in on that.
Heck yeah. Well, I mean, it's already built, but I do have a donor because literally I have like the whole Endless Waltz set. Um, so
Is
there
it
is a serpent
is
here
it
for
glued
you.
together? Is it glued together?
No, it's not glued together. In fact, terrible nub marks on every single one of them. That was what kind of inspired me. As I was like, oh, I'm gonna clean up the nub marks that I left when I was 13 years old, and like, biting my pieces off the runners. Like, what
Oh
the
my
hell is this? This
goodness.
isn't an action figure.
Ooh, 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 yes, yes.
So
We
maybe we
should.
need to do something here around like, a little wing action.
I mean,
Yeah.
December is when Endless just it's like Endless Waltz is a
Christmas.
Christmas movie, so
Yeah.
December works perfect.
There we go. And actually, that's going to be the anniversary of Endless Waltz, isn't it?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
We might be
Okay.
onto something here, you guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we've got time to prepare.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. I will have plenty of Gelgoogs hopefully done by then.
Yeah, so what's next on the chopping block for you? Because obviously, you mentioned before the stream that you haven't touched the Gelgoog in a while. Are you going to return to googing, or are we, a Zaku convert?
So I is definitely the House of Goog over here, or as my wife likes to refer to it, the Guggenheim. Um, so I'm still working on the Shima and I'm updating it. I actually got some really great mods. There was a guy on yeah, I just ran across a Google image search of somebody who did this amazing Shima Gelgoog, and it's not crazily modded. It uses a lot of those Gelgoog Jaeger parts. And I finally found the dude's YouTube channel after a year of searching, and it's all. I'm glad I found it now because if I found it a year ago, I would have been completely freaked out. And the dude's like got skirt mods, he's got everything, and that's why I ordered a bunch of hardcore products like the T measurer, like little files, like the little display thing, and
Yeah.
that's going to be my next build. And then immediately following after that, I'm trying to find somebody who can do resin 3D printing, like really high quality, because I have the files for the Gelgoog Stutzer, and that's oh hello sir.
No, well, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, currently on the old Patreon, the legs have been taken off, but like, this is an entry grade GM conversion kit, which you're welcome, Bandai.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, obviously printing things in resin has been a hobby of mine for a couple years, and especially for Gunpla. Like, you know, Nick over at RVA Gunpla was looking for Gato's Gelgoog rifle
Mhm,
because obviously the Gelgoog Marine, the master grade one, doesn't come with it. So I was like,
Mhm.
wow, shoot, I'll just run a little mass production over here on the Elegoo.
So I have the files for probably one of the most coveted kits that we never got. That is the 1/144 scale Neue Zeal.
Oh
Oh
wow.
yeah, yeah. So
wow.
I, I will hook you up. I found this
Yeah,
guy.
you have your people call my people, and
Yeah,
then Adam's people will
Yeah.
I just want to do this
Yeah.
for the sole fact of it's technically 1/144 scale and it's not on a like on a diorama. So I just like roll into Odo. open this thing up in a custom case, plop it on the table, and watch everyone like, oh, yeah,
Right, yeah, because that's the thing is, like, ODO and even Gunpla Builders World Cup, like, nobody's really brought a, even, like, a high-grade Neo Zeong or Dendrobium, so it's like
yeah. I actually at Odo, I was kind of surprised to see no standard DOMs, no no Tropins, nothing like that. I didn't see a single Gelgoog either. It was mostly
no.
Zaku's, Goofs, 30 different flavors of Gundams I probably would know if. And I saw two Messers; those look like really beefy.
I like the Messer.
I saw Zuda.
Yeah, oh, I think that was, probably Ricky Hoskins,
Yes.
the Zuda Origin custom, which that thing is beautiful.
So I call him Jingles now. I don't refer to him as Ricky. He's known as Jingles because he won so many awards.
Oh, I know,
Yeah, he's good.
he
My
cleans
dude.
up and I love that, as far as, like you said, when it comes to impressing the IPMS crowd, he has definitely done more than his share of, like, saying, "Hey, we're not just here for the Gundams, like, I'll do an airplane, I'll do a sub, I'll do a tank, say something." Like
Mhm.
I'll do a person pilot. No.
there you go.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that I would love to see more variety at both ODO and GBWC. Do you think that you'll be entering GBWC as well?
Oh, not a chance in hell.
No, you don't think so? Honestly, I feel like the competition at ODO is much stiffer.
Yeah. At Odo, see, this is what's interesting is Odo was actually my first IPMS event. That was actually my first event ever entering a Gunpla into any kind of category. So I went in there completely blind. And I got to tell you, like, as a complete newbie to that scene, I saw a few GBWC winners rolling in there. And the first thought that came to my mind is like, man, I'm going to get my ass kicked. And it was
I love it.
completely like flipped around on its head.
Yeah.
And uh, not to detract from the GBWC winners, but when you see what Bandai was wanting and what IPMS was wanting, it was almost like two different worlds,
Yeah.
and it really shattered any preconceived notion that I had. Where it's like, here is this stinky little Zaku surrounded. It's literally like the smallest dude going into like a supermax prison, and here's this dinky little Zaku, taking second, and the guy who took first, he did that with the Zaku that only had, a Heat Hawk. There was no
Yeah.
crazy base, and that dude did all those rust effects with science. Like he melted that
Like
thing with Plasti dip, I think.
Ye yeah, so that was the
Yeah,
Doan Zaku, which I think
yeah,
it's fantastic, and that one actually what took best in show, o
mhm,
over
yeah,
all the Gundam categories, which is
yeah.
fantastic. I mean, it just goes to show that it's, it's not the size of the Gunpla, it's how you do it.
I'm actually proud I lost to that, honestly,
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah.
But
like
the
everybody
thing
goes
is
through. Yeah,
yeah, I
go
mean, I
ahead.
wouldn't even call it losing because the truth is it's more of an exhibition of, like, a showcase of people's
Yeah.
talents than it is, like, a true, competition, but
Better
Mm.
terminology, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because that's the way I feel about going to them, and, like, and, you know, again, our mutual friend Nick says it, the trophy you take home is the kit that you brought, so
Yeah. I was just so giddy when I saw like, when the guy explained to me how he did that. We've been talking a lot over Instagram, and I was like, "It's like, science, bitch!" I was like, "Yes!"
That is
That
cool.
that that's what really makes me so happy about this, is, like, when you see something new and creative off the wall coming out of left field, and you're like, "Dude!"
Yeah, it's not like a technique you can do.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, well, did he do it better? I'm not sure. But really it's yeah, the type of technique. So yeah, something like that is pretty neat for
yes,
sure.
yes.
I love that type of stuff, but I have to say there's probably a little too much positivity in the room right now, so let's do something a little
Ooh,
different. You guys have probably enjoyed this, starting last week, we started this new segment on the show that I really love. I need to come up with, like, a whole intro graphic and, like, a stinger for this.
Yeah.
A new segment I like to call Trash MR, where we talk about something Gundam or, just maybe something that kinda pissed us off this week.
you should get a thing of,
And
like, Glemmy Toto from Double Zeta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be a good one. Well, so
Yeah.
okay, so you are the first guest we've had on for the Trashomar segment. Do you have something that that annoyed you this week?
Once again, we have had another round of, premium Bandai announcements, and none of them are Stardust memory related.
Nope.
My hands are empty, Bandai. I don't care if I have to eat ramen. I will give you money. Give me Stardust.
Are you sure you don't want another Pale Rider? We've got plenty of Pale Riders here for you.
Would you like an Efreet knock for $30 plus shipping? Nah, I'm good. There's already a bootleg of that. Why? Like, you missed the boat.
Yep. Yep. No kidding. Yeah, normally, and Adam will confirm, like, I'm normally a P Bandai apologist, but,
Mhm.
honestly, the only P Bandai that from that list that really appeals to me is the G-Line standard armor, or, well, not the standard armor, but the light armor. But then it's like,
Yeah.
I was
It's
already planning on 3D printing parts to make it the light armor anyway, so now I'm like, well,
yeah,
Yeah.
and for me lately, it's been like I will like in the past, if I wanted something that was P Bandai that wasn't available, I would end up finding it on eBay, but
Oh,
then it would be
yeah.
back on P Bandai
yep.
cheaper, and I was like, "Wait, I could have just been patient. I got a backlog. I still haven't built it."
Dude, they've come out with the Gundam Lindworm 3 times, and the
Yeah,
first
that's
2
a good
times it was
example.
$64, and now it's 52, so
Wow, that's
So
what's
this
mm-mm.
that?
is my Grail kit.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good one.
this is
That is
like
a good
the
one.
this is like the redneck Fast and the Furious Zaku, the Draw C. And like the Axis version of this is even like wilder. It's like you need to like redneck Xeon flag on it because they just put a bunch of guns on it. But I remember back in 2018, I missed the boat on this, and I was like, I don't need that. I get the regular
Never
guns.
happening again.
Um, they never reprinted it, and I found two of them on eBay for $110, and now one of them is this one, and the other one is gone completely. Like you'll never find it ever again.
No.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that is that would you say it's one of the rarest kits you've come across?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I've because like all like the Action Zaku and all the ones that are like 150, $140 on eBay right now. The Drossi custom, I have only seen two of those to date, and everything else you can always get. Somebody's always holding. This one you can't.
Yeah.
Neat. Okay. I'm gonna
Yes,
keep that in mind.
But that's a great feeling to have your Grail kit in the backlog.
Heck yeah.
and it makes me
Even
scared to
even better
touch
when
it.
you can get 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm.
Well, that's what's so great about all the HG kits, the earlier ones like this. They share a lot of common parts. So if I screw up anything, I've got a bunch of donor Zaku's. The only thing I can't screw up is those giant like shoulder things.
Yeah, once those are gone, you're toast. But no,
Yes.
you really should, kick that up with, like, uh, is it Robbie in Joe Dirt where he's, like, pulls up in his
Hmm.
his Firebird?
Dude, yeah. I've actually wanted to do some really strange, like start a subsection of Gunpla, call it Bling Plaw or Pimp Plaw, where it's like the Saddam, like like the Saddam AKs when they were like ruled Iraq, they were pulling out his whole collection as like gold plated AKs and revolvers and pistols and stuff. I want to do that to like Leos and Zaku's and stuff, or like pit like deck one out, deck a Gelgoog out like with rhinestones and like give him like a little pimp cane and a hat and stuff and just plop him on the table.
Dude. Dude, you that's a great idea.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is fantastic.
You get the Dom with like little platforms and it actually has like the little like fake fishies inside of it and there's like liquid in it. Like that's an ultimate flex in my book.
Oh my god. Well, Adam, do you have a, Trashomar for us this week?
I do have a trash more, but that it might something I might bring up tomorrow. I don't know. I'm still debating. You know what I'm talking
Okay,
about. But
fair. Alright.
then the other thing, I think, and I don't know how much it could relate to Gundam because it's almost like in the marketing realm, but it's more of like with video games, like when, especially this week, news will come out of something or a rumor, and then these game journalists, or I try to find reputable ones, will make these videos where then they're complaining about an assumption based on a leak. And I'm like, that's not good news. That's not good reporting. I clicked on the video to
Yeah.
kinda get an understanding of what you found. Instead, you're like, "I think they're doing this," and anyway. See how I'm getting all worked up?
See, that's it, but that's exactly what this segment is all about, getting your blood pressure up, making sure that you're still alive.
Yeah.
Along that same vein, this I have to share with you guys because it is tangentially related to Gundam, but also,
Mhm.
around marketing. So, oh, of course, I did it again. I hit the wrong down key on my
Okay, I'll sign
display
it.
here. So here we go. This came across my feed. Obviously, I follow all of the Bandai accounts on Instagram, and this is not Gundam. It's what Tales of Graces. They're promoting this video game with a cooking video, how to make natto on toast. Richard's natto on toast, mind you. Now, I'm not familiar with this game. I don't know the character of Richard. I don't know if he even likes natto. But looking at his, costume and the way that his face is completely blown out on the, image here, I'm gonna assume that natto is not a, common dish that's served in this fantasy realm, and so
Not
my trash Amar this week is this type of, like, weird, non-related marketing that it doesn't
No,
correlate to the product that they're trying to promote. Like,
exactly.
Oh,
nothing is gonna make me buy this game quite like seeing a recipe for natto on toast. And similarly, this is following in the vein of these old you guys might remember this from a few years back, the Marvel Eat the Universe series where they would have a bunch of content creators come on and, like, share recipes, and it's like, "Yeah, because this is gonna make me read comic books or something." And and let me be clear, is like, I don't necessarily have a problem with this type of content because it can be done and it can be done quite well. If you guys are familiar with like binging with Babish, he built his entire YouTube career off of taking recipes from movies, video games, TV shows, and
Mhm.
like making them in real life. Like, oh, here's the dubious food from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like I put in mushrooms and like some monster parts and stuff like that. So it's like this kind of thing can be done, but not when it's not related to the thing, right?
Yeah, do you remember the, that Korean cooking show that I think we were both watching? And one of the
Oh
guys
yeah,
in
Class
there
War.
just he would use the manga that would have the food, and he would just recreate it, and that's how he
Yeah.
learned. So, I wonder how much the food, the cooking recipe is more of a Japanese thing, and they're like, "Okay, there, but in the US, they're like, "Okay, some people make cooking videos, some people make video game videos. How about we just combine them?" And
Yeah,
like you said, it's like, then who are you serving?
it's like that
Food,
weird like
fun.
lamb and tuna fish thing that they mentioned in like Big Daddy. It's like
exactly.
I think anyone who's worked in marketing has been in one of these meetings where it's typically the sales guy who's like digging at the bottom of the barrel. He's like, "What if we combine this and this?" And he presents it in such a way that it's everyone's like, "Yeah, we should really do that. We should really do that." And the guys who actually have to execute it are in the corner like, "I can't wait to go out back by the dumpster and just change it." Like, my God, no.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're the one person that has been outvoted, and then you're
Oh
just
yeah.
having to watch it
Yeah.
unfold, and you're like,
The CEO that comes in
Yeah.
and is just like, "Hey guys, I have a new idea for our marketing strategy. Let's go viral." I'm gonna leave you with that. You take that idea and you run with it.
uh,
Oh, there's a
Um,
lot of PTSD from that one, man.
oh, Dan Vince said something funny. Midnight Hatter,
yeah,
we're not getting the Hatter recipe for Bernie burgers. I wanna say I'm offended by jokes about Bernie and burgers. I just wanna put that out there, but I wanna be sensitive to other people reactions to my sensitivity, so I don't care if you make a joke. I just wanna put that out there. I think it's sad about burning and burgers. Okay? It's not
There's
funny.
also Shimagara Hell barbecue chicken.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, you gotta laser torch that thing, man. You gotta just like boom. It probably won't be cooked, but that's what the barbecue sauce is
yeah,
for.
I won't be there anymore, but
well, I mean, you could do a whole, line of low sodium recipes, but just based on, 0079 and the fact that they ran out of salt on white base, like
and you know what? But kinda going back to that Tails game, like, that serves a specific audience, and if the idea is to capture a new audience, you just wouldn't do it through cooking. You
Yeah.
know, like, that doesn't make sense. You would try to find another game, a crossover that you would, uh, do that
Well,
for.
and like I said, I think that it's possible to if you wanna do a cooking video that's related to the video game, then do something that's in the video game. And again, maybe I'm speaking out of ignorance, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Natto on Toast is not even remotely mentioned in Tales of Grace.
I love how the Punisher's little episode here is the Punisher's Italian wedding soup when it was like wasn't like most of his family murdered at a wedding.
Oh my god, yeah, what is it that
Yeah.
what that's about? What
I
the
thought it was a family reunion, but that might just be the movie with Tom Jane.
Well,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
this is what happens when you force these crazy ideas onto burnout marketers. That's when they start slipping in the innuendos and like, aha, see, you know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
I'm
It's
picking
like
up,
most,
yeah.
yeah, it's most of Disney's like early animation line.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was so
yeah.
funny. What was I watching? Something about State Farm had a Batman commercial,
Oh
and then
god,
I think it was like Chris Gore, that dude that comments on movies. He was like, "I would have rather them take that budget of the Batman movie and lowered my premiums."
yes,
I was like, "That's a good," because yeah, they
yeah,
filmed like a
Ouch.
really high end live action Batman commercial.
yeah.
I mean, it had some comedy in it, but it also had like a really cool looking Batman and Batmobile and Joker and Riddler. I think I don't know. It was
Yeah,
but
I mean, if
marked
you're
out.
gonna do it, you
Yeah.
gotta do it, go
Yes,
all the way.
someone there was like, let's combine insurance and Batman.
Yeah.
That's
And the ideas will keep coming because like they're gonna put it on TikTok to go viral, and they're like, "Yeah, I got like 1,000,001 views," and no one has the heart to tell the guys like, "Yeah, most of those are bots, my guy."
Well, hey, I mean, it's like I always tell people, it's like, you can't pay your rent in Twitch subscriber well, I guess in Twitch subs you could, but you can't pay your rent in TikTok views.
Mm.
Yes, or experience.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm paying you an experience. You know what I'm talking about.
Exposure. You're getting exposure
Exposure.
for this.
Yep.
Yeah, you went
Uh,
viral, but nobody cares. I can't pay you. As he jumps in his new Tesla, I was like, "Bye."
Good luck, everybody.
Peace.
Well, so is there anything you wanna share with the folks here about, like, what inspires you with your Gunpla, and what do you think people should take home when it comes to customizing their Gunpla? Because I know that that's a huge hurdle for people. Most people are so terrified to even touch their plastic with a paintbrush or a scribing tool. What helped you get over that hump?
I'm actually really glad you asked that question. And marketer first before I got on this weird digital SEO dark web stuff. Um, I fundamentally I knew that there's so much stuff running around out there that's designed to you see the best. You always see the best. You see the best. This is what people want to put out there. Like, great builders, they always put out the best. It's always really curated. Like I've got a post on my Instagram that's like almost got 1,000 likes on it. And it was like a Zaku 2 color guide, but no one sees the pain, the struggle, the late nights, the burnout, the trips to the hobby store, or the times I'm sitting there at 2 o'clock in the morning because I can't sleep, like doom scrolling and like falling deeper into that hole because I see like all these people pumping out new builds and new kits so quickly and
It can be
the
discouraging, right? Like,
yeah, and kind of how I got around that is I surrounded myself with people in the gunpla community and that actually encouraged me and had a lot of the same struggles I did. One of the most insightful human beings I've ever had the pleasure of communicating with is Gunpla Luke. And when I first started talking to Gunpla Luke, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, here's this Titan who is like the king of the mountain, the cream of the crop. He's never gonna talk to me. He's never gonna message me. And the dude is genuinely so humble. And he didn't ask me for money to go to a subscription course or do anything like that. He literally, took the time. Is like, like one of the big things on the Zaku is that like I didn't paint the internal joints for the first time around where I screwed those up and they started getting paint rub. And he saw that and he's like, what I do is I do the kit in small stages. Like they'll do the arms from start to finish, the legs from start to finish, and so on and
yeah,
so forth to prevent burnout. And that was probably one of the most actionable pieces of advice I ever got. And he's also in marketing too. And we share like, a lot of the same things. And to be able to find people like that to explain things to me, my neurodivergence is all over the place. To explain something to me in a way that I understand versus here is one of my biggest pet peeves in this hobby is nobody shows their process, or they show their process, and it's here's that's actually one of my biggest complaints about the earlier EA Gunpla videos I saw when I first
Is it
got
like that meme where it's
it.
like, here's how to draw an owl? You draw a
Yeah,
circle and then draw the rest of the fucking owl.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, one of the things that got me about his Zaku F2 video is that he never went into the priming step. He never went into the cleaning the kit before you do that. And I sent him some feedback, and he took it to heart, and he actually made some of those like little smaller clips where like that action base, for example, his a lot of his videos didn't have that. And what really attracted me to Gunpla Luke is that he was doing that from the get go. It wasn't this, here's my 30-minute video where I show all of these different things, little snippets. He actually does these little reels where it's like, this is this thing that I'm doing. This is the reason I'm doing this. This is how I do this. Doesn't matter what flashy tool you have. There's no product promotion. It's like, here's something that's simple and actionable.
although
You're
he does condemn the use of these hook type
Oh yeah.
It's
scribing
funny, I was
tools.
sitting there holding
Yes.
it while I was talking.
That was
Oh
the
yeah.
conversation that he had with us, was like, stop using that meat hook to to carve up your gunpla. No,
I
he's
actually
fantastic.
I actually used that meat hook on my EGR valve for my Honda Fit
Ooh.
because that's how I pulled the piston out. That was amazing. But
See, it does have
to
a use.
to kind of finish that train of thought is that you need to surround yourself. Like if you're coming into this and you're like, I see all this cool stuff, I want to do all this cool stuff. Don't run out and go buy like all of the Despie stuff, the Madwork stuff, the Race Studio stuff, just because you see something cool and flashy. I think content creators really need to focus on putting stuff out in small snippets. Number one, you get content for days, or you got the drip going hardcore. But at the
Yeah,
same time, the new people who are coming in, who you want to turn into subscribers or followers, they're going to keep coming back to you because you're giving them something actionable. You're making this awesome looking kit realistic for them to do. And it took me a long time to find people, like that. I mentioned the Gunpla Goonies guys, and
yeah.
I was kind of rudderless for a while, and those guys, took me into their house and were like, "Bro, bro." I love those dudes to death. Honestly, we
That's cool.
we all met up at Odo and went to this barbecue joint in Richmond. My God, I'm still dreaming about them spare ribs. Um, but it's fine. That's You got to find your community. You got to find your
Yeah.
niche.
Find your tribe and stick with them. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm really glad that you brought that up, because that is something that's become a recurring theme, is, people talking about, there's no tool, there's no tutorial, there's no book that you can read that's going to help you get better in this hobby.
Yeah.
It's down to like Principality New York. It's down to like guys like the Goonies, guys like
Mhm,
Gunpla Luke.
mhm.
Yeah, it's down to the people that you surround yourself with, that
Yeah.
that are going to not only help you kind of hone your skills, but then also motivate you to continue going, because
Mhm.
it's not even just the showing you how to do it. It's the encouraging you to, like, no, like, don't, like, get off your phone, go sit at your
Yeah.
desk and cut up your your Zaku. Like,
Yeah. Because you always see those guys who are like, really ego driven, and they're like, follow me, follow me, follow me. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, they're posting on Instagram like, oh, Instagram shadow banned me, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that. And it doesn't take me very long to do a deep dive onto their content and say like, okay, so you're really just posting the end result. You're not
yeah,
really actually engaging with the community. Because whenever you say gunpla community, a few of them will like roll their eyes like, oh, here we go again, because they've seen that.
yeah,
And I think one of the best like takeaways I can give anybody who's watching this either now or like sometime in the distant future is like, it's a marathon, it's not a race. It doesn't matter if like there's a guy on Instagram pumping out like master grades that fully painted every other week. You know, it's okay to. I mean, that Zaku took me 7 months.
Mm.
And I know some guys who would be able to do it like that. Don't compare yourself to others. Be
yeah.
humble. Ask questions. And 9 times out of 10, people in this community will tell you, "Hey, it's okay, man. Like you burn out, you get frustrated,
Oh yeah.
um, and you'll find your people."
And seriously, yeah, it is amazing to me. Like, if you see someone that's got like 300,000 followers, send
Mhm.
them a DM or comment on something and see if they don't reply to you, because I guarantee you, like you said, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, yeah, how can I help you?
Mhm.
Is like the
Yeah.
most approachable group of people you could find online, which is saying a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That honest to God, that's why I avoid if when I start seeing people start pushing like products like really heavy, I'm like, I'm gonna back away from that
Yeah.
because I've seen where that influencer track goes for people because it's kind of like that. It's like that weird like knife pyramid scheme where like you sell all the knives to everybody around you, and then you start getting frustrated because you can't sell more, and it's I don't
Sure.
know. It's kind of like a weird tangent to go into, but I've seen that creeping for scale models talk about influencers quite a bit lately,
Mm,
and
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So
Yeah, and it's an easy trap to fall into. And that's like that we could probably go for a whole other hour talking
oh
about
yeah,
just like content creators and that side of the hobby, because it's easy to find yourself like becoming just like a shill for products and not even offer value to people, because ultimately that's the whole point of why we do what we do, is to create some value for people, whether it's, education, entertainment, a combination of both. If all you're doing is selling something, then you know
well, you see that all the time because when somebody gets sponsored by a store, for example, right?
Mhm.
You are your brand, your personal brand, you are the product because you're getting the free stuff. You're tied to that. So you can't, go work with another store or just be like, "Hey, thank you such and such store for sending me this stuff," because you are now technically a product and owned by that brand that's sponsoring you. So not only do you kind of locked in, but you're kind of trapped creatively, sorry. And like if that brand gets into any kind of trouble, it comes back on you. It can be like, "Oh no,
And
I didn't
vice
know,"
versa.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
And
um,
but yeah, that's why I gravitate towards the people who are just like, "Man, I don't need a brand. I don't need to go viral. I don't need to do this. I just like building stuff and, just chilling out."
Yeah, I think on social media, more and more people are connecting more with authenticity,
Mhm.
and they're kind of noticing when things are too salesy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there's a saying in advertising, like the the most used call to action button of all time is the skip ad button. And
Wow.
this
that's right.
yeah,
That's a
seriously,
good one.
seriously.
Never thought about that.
And the second you put something out
Hmm.
there that smells like an ad, people tune out, 100%. And
Yeah.
to me, when I see that, I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna keep scrolling." Because I've already got the subscribers, I've already got the paint, I've already got all the kits, I've got everything else like that. I don't need an ad in my face telling me that what I'm doing is wrong and making me want to go out and buy more stuff. Like that's how you become a hoarder and you're like giving away all of this stuff. And it's just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no magic tool, there's no magic bullet that's gonna make you better at this hobby. It's just putting in the work and doing the thing.
Yeah. I got shamed to high heaven because I used acrylics
Oh,
and
I'm sure.
there were so many people who were like, "Acrylics are trash. Don't use acrylics. Lacquer all the way." I'm like, and I started jokingly referring to these people as the lacquer master race. Um, I've got nothing against people who use acrylics or lacquers or enamels.
No, you
You know,
use whatever tool. It's the old photographer saying, right? The best
yeah,
camera is the one that you have on you. Like,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Okay, so should we tell a joke or something? Because I feel like they got really deep.
we tend to get kinda heavy here,
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does
on the
happen from
show.
time to time.
But no, I think, that these are all great thoughts to leave
Yeah.
people pondering, for sure. Actually, so before we do, head out, I do wanna ask you a question, because I know Adam and I have seen it. W Have you seen G-Quux?
oh, it was badass, 100%.
Okay, then
Cool.
there
It
you
was
go.
It was literally everybody knows by now the general premise is
Yeah.
that like the one of the dudes, Zaku's, gets busted and then Char goes instead. The only part about G-Quux that I'm pissed off about is the fact when Char gets in the RX-78, like 6 little Federation symbols don't appear above his head like Grand Theft Auto. Like
Oh, that's
it's just
hilarious. Yeah.
it's just like Grand Theft Gundam right there, and he just like goes to town. He
Dude,
steals
yeah.
the white base, and he's like off the races.
And then they're
And
all
it,
showing up to
yeah,
gunning on him. Yeah.
and then Sharia Bull, and like how that one little change, like it was brilliant to me.
Yeah.
But I'm pissed there's no Gelgoogs in it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I guess that's one of the things is like, towards the beginning when they get the Gundam, it's like, hey, call Giran, tell him we're not doing any more mobile armors, we're not doing any more mobile suits, we're just gonna do
yeah.
this thing. Like,
But
so,
actually, if you want to be really super technical, like they were developing the Gelgoog in October of October, like
No, but hey, I
0079.
like that stuff. So really,
So
yeah.
you can get a Gelgoog. Where's my Gelgoog at? Bandai, where's my Gelgoog?
Hey, maybe
I
like
I,
the
I don't want a
origin.
G-Quux Gelgoog, let's be honest.
Well, no, maybe
Oh
like the
god.
origins, you'll do an MSV.
Oh,
Mm,
yo. But they did have Rick Dom in there.
they did, yeah.
Yeah,
Toquan.
That right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There was a part. Yeah.
The chonky Dom like chilling out in the back corners, like he's just eating his bag of Cheetos. Like, and now, Shar, you got this, man.
Yeah,
You
because
got
what
this.
are they gonna do? Come on.
Yeah. And then Sharia Bull, more like Sharia Baller, going out there just like wrecking up the place. And then you've got the mass produced Big Zom. And I'm like, all right, I can get into this.
They did all the things. Is
Oh
like,
yeah. And then you've got that weird like Metabots. Here's one thing I noticed about G-Quux that a lot of people didn't catch on is when they're having that little mock battle royale thing between the two suits. It's like the two Zaku's. Did you notice like one of them was painted blue and one of them was painted red?
No, I
yeah.
wasn't really paying attention, I guess. Yeah.
And one of them, the red one, was doing a lot of defensive moves, and the blue one was doing a lot of offensive moves.
That's true. The
I
the
don't
blue
know
one's the
what.
one that initiated the first attack.
So they were calling back to V8 and Mercurius from Gundam Wing with that.
Oh,
See, there
interesting.
you go. There was a lot of like little hidden gems in there. Like I think even this past Sunday when we recorded the G Watch for Gundam Explained,
Yeah.
um, the fact that Oliver was it? No, his name was Xavier Oliver. His
Oh,
eyes were the color of the Evil One from Evangelion.
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't. That's something I didn't notice. That's cool.
Uh,
Yeah, there's a lot of little like there's a lot of things I noticed, but then there's a lot of things I didn't notice. That's what makes
there's
it. That's why I want to watch it again.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot to notice, I think,
Yeah.
which I think that's kind of the whole point of the show, right? Is like
Yeah.
it's not even member berries at that point. It's
Right.
like,
It's like here's what kind of. It's like here's kind of what people have been wanting in a way, like as a
Yeah.
alternate thing to just have fun with the callbacks,
Yeah.
just fun.
Because
Yeah.
I remember you guys were talking, last week. It's like you need to really watch, the old school 0079 and Zeta and all that other fun stuff to kind of really appreciate this.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was I was walking around the house with my headphones on, like listening to you while you do that. And I was like, man, that actually makes a lot of sense
yeah,
because somebody who's like walking into this who has never seen Eva, who's never seen 0079 or anything like that, are like,
or
who the
Fooly
hell is this?
Cooly.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right,
I've never
FLCL.
seen
Yeah, I
that.
definitely caught those FLCL vibes in there.
Yeah, the Foolypedia.
And
Oh
you know what?
yes,
I compared it to, it might not be as dramatic, but when Luke Skywalker showed up in Mandalorian. Because it's like, that's what I want. That's what I want to see right now. This is just kind of a fun thing of what we've wanted to see. And that's kind of like
Mhm.
seeing
So,
Shar get.
so then how come you didn't post the YouTuber video where you cried watching it?
Oh, well, that's members only.
That's it. There we go.
But
You have
a
to become
couple
a
of jokes.
Patreon sub to
yeah.
watch Adam cry.
So at least they're like Bandai was cool about it and like didn't try to misdirect you and make you think it was going to be something else. Because I remember, I'm actually a member of the 501st Legion, so we're just gonna get the Star Wars thing out of the way. I remember when they were teasing like the great reveal, who's gonna be the Jedi, and they did leaked photos from the set, and it was Mark Hamill in a Plo Koon mask.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
and it's like Plo Koon lives. You didn't see the body,
That's
and then
right.
that's
Yeah,
what.
they did that whole
Yeah,
thing, even for the crew.
yeah, and
That's,
that's what kicked off the Mace Windu thing too.
Yeah.
Mace Windu lives. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, no, no, you're talking my thing. Real quick, I'm just gonna say the story of Boba Fett that they made should have been a story that also included Mace Windu, because remember,
Hmm.
I feel like the clone brothers should be a big deal to Boba Fett, and
Yeah.
and Mace Windu killed Boba Fett's dad, but then you would think Boba Fett would then learn that the Jedi were actually trying to do good and that the clones were taking advantage, that whole thing. I really feel like Boba Fett would have an arc. It would include Mace Windu. That is the ultimate movie they didn't
I
make.
was gonna say that actually has more character-driven pay dirt than what we got in the book of Boba
Exactly.
Fett. Yeah.
Let's be real. Everyone was expecting Book of Boba Fett to basically be Star Wars Scarface.
Yeah, I can't believe they dropped that. Oh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bag fumbled.
that could have been so much better.
Maybe it'll age well like the prequels. I don't know, man. Like,
I wonder, it is kinda interesting how, but I think it's more of, like, kids that watch the prequels. Like, because I was a teenager when they came out, but I'm talking
yeah,
about, like, 5-year-olds watching the prequels and then growing up,
yeah.
now people are liking it. It's yeah.
I
Yeah.
think with age, I actually came to appreciate the prequels more, especially when they've been because I've met Hayden Christensen, and
Oh, that's
I can
cool.
I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt the dude is not like he is in the movies. I waited in line 3 hours in Chicago
That's
to
good.
meet the dude, and he stayed until the entire line was finished, and get up to it, I literally before I go around the corner, I'm hearing freaking Wu-Tang Clan, man. Like, homeboy's chilling there in his, like, his red hoodie, just, like, signing and talking to everybody and just enjoying himself listening to the, Wu-Tang. I'm like,
That's cool.
"He is for the children," even though he killed most of them. Um,
No,
and,
he's
like
good people,
yeah,
man, and
yeah.
he's, humble too, yeah.
Disney paid him back, and they did him right.
Yeah, they gave him a lot of cool stuff that it's kind of like the Luke Skywalker thing. They gave him
Yeah.
new scenes that are pretty neat that you can watch.
So we gotta
Yeah.
wait 20 years for them to do that to Boba?
I don't know. I think the time has passed. I've
Yeah.
kind of Gundam has been my thing
Yeah.
I've been able to transition into from Star Wars. It's like I don't like
Yes.
to sit here and hate on things, so it's just kinda like, I'll
Yeah.
just like something else more.
But see, that's what Trashomar is for, is, we
Yes.
get that out of our system once a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like bloodletting, you just
I know, I gotta plan these out, plan out my hate
exactly.
and my
When
rage.
is somebody, like, gonna crawl out of the anus in the desert like Boba did? And, because that's essentially what he did. He crawls out of the Sarlacc pit, and, Family Guy refers to it as the anus in the desert. And I remember the message boards just being on fire saying like, "Yeah, yeah, here's the anus in the desert scene." I'm like, "Ah,
Oh, that's
Christ, I need to get off Reddit."
I'm glad I missed that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's enough internet for today.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom, your inspiration with us. Again, this is that's kind of become the theme of the show, is like how helping people understand where talented builders like yourself come from and how to get there themselves. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us, and for, just talking some fun nerd stuff about Gundam, because honestly, that's what we're all here for, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's proof positive I'm a 5'6" dude in Ohio who's like, not like a god or something. It's just regular person.
Yeah, we can all
Yeah.
have fun just
Yeah.
sharing this hobby, yeah.
I need to get
So
some spare
guys,
ribs.
if you are watching, link down in the description to the Gelgoog guy. Go give him a follow on Instagram, and
Yep.
I am going to keep bullying you to get into GBWC, if only just to experience that difference between that and ODO. So, and
I will tell
I hope
you,
you hold me accountable to it as well, because I flaked on ODO, so I need to make up for that.
my dream build if I ever do GBWC, and you can hold me to this. That scene in 0083 where Shima like lands on top of the ship and blows it up. If I ever get that
Oh,
good to do the lighting effects and like the shattering windows and even make the damn Gelgoog actually do it, that will be the one I will do.
that's a great idea.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good deal, man.
We'll hold you
Well,
to
hey,
it.
thank you so much. And if you guys haven't, Adam dropped a video this morning. Speaking of 0083, the
Oh, that's
Nightmare
true.
of Solomon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, a
so
little
go check that out if you haven't already. Learn a few things about Annabelle Gatto that maybe you didn't know.
yeah.
Thank you guys so
Yes.
much for watching. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Gelgoog Guy, for joining me this evening. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. We will catch you next time.
See y'all.
Thank you.